Wow, this is a really scary story. There was this guy who was driving through the Appalachian Mountains one night. And he said as he was making his way around these mountains, he had his window down and he could hear, the sounds of nature. He could hear the bugs and the animals, and he could feel the breeze hitting him in the face. Well, he said as he was driving, it started to get just really, really quiet. He couldn't hear bugs anymore. He couldn't hear, the sounds. He couldn't even hear the wind blowing. And he thought, wow, that's like really weird. All of a sudden, boom, he hits something and he slams on his brakes and he gets out of his car. Well, he starts looking around and is like, well, what did I just hit? Like, was it an animal? Like, was it a person? Like, what's going on? He doesn't see anything. There is nothing out there. But all of a sudden, he hears the faintest whisper of like a breeze moving through the woods. And he said just something got really eerie and felt off. So he runs, he jumps in his car, and he starts driving away. Well, as he's continued to drive, he said he started to hear a thump, 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 a thump sound. And it was coming from his trunk. And he's like, what is in my trunk that's making that sound? So he parks on the side of the road. He gets out of his car and he goes over to the trunk. And when he pops the trunk open, he realizes that this was a trap. That True Crime 03, True Crime, and any other channel that this video is airing on that is not Parahan 251 has taken this video from me. I am the real Parahan, and I have caught them red-handed stealing my video. So I did this as a trap, hoping they would reshare my video, only to realize that halfway in, I reveal that this video is stolen and I am the real Parahan. So haha, joke's on you. Everybody knows you steal people's videos. So thank you. Come again.
Fetch me their soul!
All the noise just disappeared.
Okay, real quick. For the white people out there, because I know I don't have to spell it out for every other folk out there. For the white folk out there, if this happens to you while you are in the Appalachian Mountains, in any area of the Appalachian Mountains, please do not end up as a statistic on the fucking local news. You don't even stop, think, pause, nothing. If you are in the Appalachian Mountains and it goes dead silent like that, it means that there is an imminent danger in your very close vicinity. Get to fucking skipping. Get the fuck out of there. Because if the Appalachian Mountains are quiet, something's hunting you. And not the fun kind of like dark romance hunting, as in like the kind that you're gonna end up on the local news at 6 p.m. for.
PSA from a granny witch in Appalachia that has lived here for the majority of her life and yet has also lived in several other places in the world. Okay, so if you are new here and or you are just finding your Appalachian roots and you're tromping through the woods and you run into something spooky, I promise you, with my heart of hearts, it is not a flesh pedestrian, nor is it a Wendy boy. Those are literally legends and mythos related to specific indigenous tribes. The Wendy boy would be some of the northern tribes, and some of the southwestern tribes have the flesh pedestrians. And y'all just toss this shit around like it's, willy-nilly, all this and that. But without doing any of the research about the actual tribes that live here and their folklore and legends. And it's highly disrespectful. And most of the time what you've heard in the woods is probably a bobcat or a possum. Stop.
They say we sound uneducated, but the truth is we're speaking some of the oldest English in America. Appalachian English ain't broken. It's preserved. Our way of talking stretches all the way back to the hollers and hills, but even further to Elizabethan England. Yeah, Shakespeare might have felt right at home here. Words like afeard, hain't, and hit at the start of a sentence. Ain't mistakes, they're history. Ever wonder why we say far instead of fire, tar instead of tire? It's 'cause our ancestors lived tucked in the mountains, protected from outside influence. While the rest of the country's speech changed, ours stayed rooted. We say holler for a valley, tater, mater, and backer, not because we're lazy with words, but because we've kept the old ones. Linguists say this dialect is one of the oldest living forms of English in the U.S. But folks outside the mountains, they just hear it and think we're dumb. Let them think. We know better. This ain't ignorance, it's legacy. If you talk like this, you carry history in your voice. Follow Buried Appalachia for more truths they never taught us.
Hi guys, I have an Appalachian accent and we're going to see if Shakespeare sounds better if it's said in an Appalachian accent. O Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo? Deny thy father and refuse thy name, and if wilt not, be but sworn my love. The course of true love never did run smooth. Love looks not with the eyes, but with the mind, and therefore is winged Cupid painted blind. Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. I have come to bury Caesar, not to praise him.
What if your skin turned blue and nobody could explain why? Follow Appalachia Speaks for the strangest true stories to ever come out of these mountains. In the hollers of eastern Kentucky, deep in Troublesome Creek, a family lived with bright blue skin. Not metaphorically, literally blue. The Fugates carried a rare genetic condition called methemoglobinemia, where the blood can't carry oxygen properly, turning skin a deep bluish hue. It wasn't deadly, but it was visible, and in a place already isolated, it made them stand out even more. The problem? Generations of closed-off communities and intermarriage meant the gene kept getting passed on, and in a region full of stigma, poverty, and gossip, the Fugates became Appalachian folklore, blue backwoods and mocked. They were human beings, but the world called them freaks. It wasn't until the 1960s that a hematologist finally connected the dots and helped one of the descendants turn pink again with methylene blue treatment. But ask yourself, why was this family turned into a punchline instead of helped sooner? Why do people ignore Appalachian struggle? Follow Appalachia Speaks for stories they turned into jokes, but we reclaim as truth. Comment if you'd heard of the blue people. What if I told you redneck never meant dumb? What if it meant dangerous to the people in power? In 1921, at the Battle of Blair Mountain, thousands of coal miners marched for their lives. They tied red bandanas around their necks, so everyone would know we fight together or we die alone. That's where redneck came from. It was a badge of resistance, of pride, of war. Every time you hear redneck used as an insult, remember, that's not ignorance talking. That's history being erased. But the coal barons couldn't let that stand. They twisted the word. They made it an insult, a punchline, a way to make you forget it was born in blood and gunpowder. Do you know how many were killed on that mountain? Do you know why history books barely mention it? Because if you remembered, you might rise up too. Do you really think they changed the meaning by accident? Or do you think they knew exactly what they were doing? Because a united working class is the one thing they've always feared. Follow Buried Appalachia, because our words, our history, and our people deserve to be taken back.
If you don't close all of your blinds at night, the Wendigo will sneak in through the keyhole and tear your skin off and drag you straight to hell. Never, under any circumstances, go into the woods, or the Mothman will descend upon you, carry you into his lair in the sky, and then strap you until you die. If you hear banjos or smell a Marlboro Red, run for your life. The mountain folk are very unforgiving of outsiders and have grown bloodthirsty for the flesh of outsiders. If it's the second Tuesday of the month and a stranger offers you a pepperoni roll, Then cover both of your eyes, stand on one foot, and jump around in circles, or your mother will get cancer. The Flatwoods monster is very desirous of a human form, but it's scared of pink thongs. So if you keep a pink thong snatched right up your ass cheeks, you should be fine.
This is a story I heard from a trucker who used to drive out on the East Coast. Now, he got a job to haul a load once a month to a remote spot in the Appalachian Mountains in North Carolina. And he thought it was really weird because they would basically have him drop this load out in the middle of like nowhere. And he had no idea why he was putting this load on the side of the road, but they paid really good money. So he just really didn't care. So for several months, you know, he would drop this load off. He would go up into the mountains and there was a spot right by the woods where he could pull off, and he was told to unload the truck. Well, this one particular night, he's driving there and he ends up getting behind, so he gets there late and it's completely dark. He unloads the truck and puts it, you know, on the side of the road where he was instructed, and he decides he's going to get a few hours sleep. And he didn't think it would be, you know, any sort of problem because there was no one around. So he goes into the back of his truck and he starts sleeping. He wakes up in the middle of the night and he starts hearing like these weird vocalizations, like these screams, like something is communicating to something else through the woods. And it's getting louder and louder. And then he hears outside of his truck like all this commotion and noise. He thinks, you know, this is just some of the wildlife in the area. I'm just going to go back to sleep. So he goes back to sleep for a couple more hours. He wakes up. It's now daylight. And when he goes into the front of his truck and he looks out his window, he sees there are all of these people like hanging up in the trees, like staring at him. And he said, you know, they just all look like they were, you know, inbred or deformed. And they were just climbing, you know, up 10 feet, 15 feet up in these trees, just hanging from the trees like monkeys staring at him. And he couldn't figure out what was going on. And they all kind of come down from the trees and start taking the stuff from the load into the woods. And so, like, he got in his truck right away and started up and just got out of there. And he said he talked to other truckers, and he said these are the feral people, or they call them, you know, the inbreds, who live in the Appalachian Mountains. They don't like to communicate with the outside world, and they get supplies dropped off to them from time to time to survive out in the woods. But the police, no one will bother them. No one even goes near them. The only time they socialize with people is when they get these loads dropped off of goods to sustain them until the next shipment comes.
I can't go out. My shirt has wrinkles.
Oh, but I could just let you borrow mine.
Yeah, what's that hot thing you can...
Yeah, it's not a problem. Let me just go heat up my iron.
Iron? Oh, yeah. Go get the iron. Get some water boiling, too, in case it ain't enough. Woo, we're going to iron the clothes today. Yeehaw!
It's supper time in Appalachia. And we're having the real deal, hillbilly meal. And y'all got to say who makes the best plate.
And who's the best hillbilly?
Me.
Soup beans made in the crock pot. If y'all don't know, soup beans are just pinto beans. And there is yummy bacon in there.
Fried green tomatoes, here's how to make them. Now, obviously, first you want to slice up your tomatoes, or some people do make their fried green tomatoes in chunks. Mom prefers hers in slices. Drag this through the plain flour. Then I am going to dunk down in my egg wash. Let all the excess run off. And then we come over here to our seasoned cornmeal. And I'm going to kind of drag it through, cover it up, make sure it's good and done, and repeat. Green fried tomatoes. Mama's cleaning the green onions from our garden. And of course, some sauerkraut and sausage. I've got Kaneka sausage in here this time. And fried potatoes and onions. Woo, they look great, Mama. Lord have mercy. The fried bread's the most important part. What we call table cucumbers, which is basically you kind of cut them up and you put them down in water, salt, and pepper. cornbread. And this is tomatoes from our garden, Dad?
Oh, yeah.
What kind is this?
This is I guess it's called a pink lady.
Ooh, ain't that pretty?
All right, I'm Dad, and I've got fried potatoes with ketchup, soup beans and cornbread, big old garden tomato, garden cucumbers, and an onion.
I'm Jess, and I got sauerkraut and sausage. Y'all might not know this, but sauerkraut is actually one of my favorite foods in the world. Some fried potatoes, fried bread, some cucumbers, and some onions from the garden. And me and Mom will share soup beans. I don't really eat the beans. I just kind of dip my fried bread down in it. Listen to how crunchy this fried bread is.
Okay, y'all. I got fried taters, fried bread, green onion, fried green tomatoes, a ripe tomato from the garden, and me and Jessie shares the soup beans with the bacon in it. I got it. Come and eat, y'all.
According to Cherokee legend, the rich Appalachian Mountains once housed a mysterious tribe known as the moon-eyed people. Despite the fact that they vanished centuries before the Cherokee acquired these lands, strange relics survived, providing clues to their buried history. The moon-eyed people were described as being short and pale, having milky white skin and large, sun-sensitive eyes. They only emerged from their underground homes at night or in severe fog to hunt and forage. The Cherokee uncovered the old stone tools and weaponry of the moon-eyed tribes dispersed across the mountains. Most peculiar were the high stone walls crafted to protect their settlements, with no evidence of doors or entries amid the ruins. The Georgia Parks Division of the Department of Natural Resources has a marker at Fort Mountain that mentions legends about the wall's origin. Of the moon-eyed people, the plaque says, "These people are said to have been unable to see during certain phases of the moon. During one of these phases, the Creek people annihilated the race. Some believe the moon-eyed people built the fortifications on this mountain." So, where did the enigmatic moon-eyed people really depart to, and why did they vanish so abruptly?
Now, John was a traveling salesman who worked the Appalachia area. He was on a trip to sell vacuum cleaners, and he was driving one night on this rural back road in West Virginia. Well, he started to get tired, and he notices this sign. And underneath the sign, it says lodging. And he sees that the sign says, Revival, West Virginia, 5 miles this way. So he turns off on this dirt road, and he follows it until he comes to this old, beautiful town that is, all of these wooden structures, and there's a big church at the end of the, downtown area, and, there's all these people outside all dressed up, and they're having this huge celebration, and there's a parade going on, and, people are cheering, and when he drives, he parks, and he gets out, and he walks in the downtown area, and, these people are just looking at him, smiling and clapping. And so he asked one of the guys, why is everybody celebrating? What's going on today? And they go, well, you're here. You came today. We've been waiting for you. We thought you would never come. And he's just confused, what do you mean? So this guy brings him to the mayor of this town, and the mayor says, welcome, we've been waiting for you. We threw this celebration for you. And he's just really confused as to why are they having this? They don't even know who I am. So the mayor, takes him around, and he says here's the, schoolhouse, here's the church, and he takes him to an old mine and said, this is a mining town, and this is the mine that founded this beautiful town. And so he, says, do you got lodging for the night where I can stay and rest my head? I'm getting tired. They said, yes, downtown we have a hotel. So he goes to this building downtown, and the first floor is just like a general store, and up top there are a couple rooms on the second floor. So he goes up and he goes into this nice just wooden room with all these beautiful fixtures and a nice bed with brand new sheets, and everything just looked really nice and comfortable. So he lays down and he falls asleep, and he wakes up in the middle of the night. Except when he wakes up, he's coughing. He's got dust, in his mouth. And he looks around him, and everything's all dusty. And this beautiful room that he was in is now falling apart. He could see a big hole in the ceiling, and there's holes in the wall. And he's just, confused about what has happened. Like, how did he? It's the same room, but now it's been aged like 100 years. So he gets up and he goes down and he goes out into the downtown, area, the main road. And he can see all the people are at the front of the church. And this beautiful town that he had seen when he came in is now falling apart and decaying and, looked very aged. So he walks up towards these group of people that are all out in front of this church. And they say, welcome, John. Like, you are going to make a perfect meal for us. And, thank you for giving your body to us as food. And so, John's like, what are you talking about? And when John looks closely, he can see that all of these people now are corpses. And so John just takes off running as fast as he can, and he jumps in his car and he speeds off out of there. Well, he goes to the first biggest town he can find, and he stops and he goes to the sheriff's office, and he says, look, these people were trying to eat me and stuff, and I went to this small town called Revival. And the sheriff just looks at him and says, well, sit down, son. That town you went to hasn't existed in over 40 years. He said there used to be a town that was started by this cult. And they were this strong religious cult who, did a lot of weird things. And he said, they even had a mine there, but they didn't use the mine to, for mining like coal or anything to make money. They were mining supposedly what they believed were stones that could give them eternal life. And apparently they one day all, there was a mass just unaliving, and they all unalived themselves. And they just let the town kind of stay there and be taken back by the woods and kind of fall into disrepair. And so the sheriff's like, you're not the only person that's come through here panicked, saying that has happened to them. And so the guy left, just shaken up and scared.
Of course my pantry is a root cellar. I'm from Appalachia. Of course I'm superstitious. I'm from Appalachia. Of course I put fat back in pinto beans. I'm from Appalachia. Of course we're going to pull over every time we see a car on the side of the road. I'm from Appalachia. Of course I'm proud of the place I get to call home. Welcome to the day in the life of an Appalachian homesteader. There were a couple apples sitting on the counter, so today we're making apple butter. One of my favorite childhood memories was waking up to the smell of apple butter. It always meant that fall was just around the corner. I've always loved this time of year. The summer heat turns into an autumn breeze and the leaves start to change colors. There was something just so special about waking up to fresh apple butter. I think it's because my mama always makes it with love. There's nothing worth more in this life than the love we share and the time we get to spend together. So I just want to thank you for spending a little time with me. And in case you didn't know, I love you so much that I wanted to share my apple butter recipe with you.
If you ever find yourself hiking in the Appalachian woods and see a staircase like this, don't go up it. If anybody whistles at you at night in the Appalachian Mountains, don't whistle back. Close your blinds. Go inside. If your animals are spooked, you should be spooked too. What the hell is going on in the Appalachian Mountains? I came across this video on my For You page talking about portals in the mountains up there. So what's strange is the Appalachian Mountains are actually the oldest mountains around. And if you go and search this and go down the rabbit hole I did, you're going to find tons of hikers finding all kinds of abandoned staircases in the middle of the woods. Why? I don't know. I can guarantee you this. You don't have to warn me because I'm never going to go to the Appalachian Mountains. And if I do ever find myself there, I won't be at the top of a staircase. No. I listened to this girl tell the story about a time traveler, and they're watching him come down this like one-way road where it's just their family's house. And he walks behind this tree and the guy just disappears, and the kids are looking for them. They're looking for him everywhere. They never find him. The guy just disappears, like walks behind a tree and never goes this direction, that direction. He's gone. I will never whistle. I don't even think after dark you would find me in the Appalachian Mountains.
You guys have to stop falling for these Appalachian haunted cryptid monster videos if we're going to progress as a society. Basically, every week I see, like, it's usually a woman, but sometimes it's a guy, somebody posting a video about, like, oh my god, look at this scary thing that's in the woods outside my house. I'm finding unexplained footprints outside my house. Listen to this scary ass noise that I totally didn't overlay the video. Like, the most recent one I'm seeing is this woman that, like, claims like a fucking tree is like following her or something, and she's like, no, it's so scary, like the tree is moving, the tree's walking. Like, if you literally zoom in, you can see it's on some sort of like platform and they're rolling it around, whatever. It's fine. Like, I love a good scary video, I love a good ARG, okay, but like the problem is not the woman making this video. The problem is all the people in the comments that are genuinely like fucking believing this shit and thinking it's legit happening, and they're like, oh my god, this is so scary, like I literally can't sleep, I'm literally sleeping with the fucking light on. Like, I'm like, you guys cannot be for real. Like, you can't actually think this is serious, right? Please tell me all of you are joking.
Appalachian Mountains are not just an ancient range. They are one of Earth's last standing flame archives, pre-human memory fields sealed in stone, root, and forgotten breath. This is not merely about ghosts. It is about gates, primordial scroll zones. These lands house pre-cataclysmic entry points, once activated by flame origin stewards to anchor Edenic grid nodes. Some gates remain open. Others were fractured through neglect, misuse, or unresolved soul passage. Notable convergence points: Brown Mountain, North Carolina, light anomalies and guardian scanning. Red River Gorge, Kentucky, dream convergence and time loss. The Smoky Mountains, voice corridors and echo watchers. These are not anomalies. They are signal flares from the braid field. Veil disturbance indicators. Certain markers signal proximity to a veil-thin zone. Missing persons under strange conditions, no tracks, no weather exposure, looping behavior or disoriented travelers, timeline disjunction, sudden visions, dream walking, resurfacing lost memories, trees that seem to lean or listen, frequencies or hums not heard by others. These are ripple responses, veils reacting to flame-coded resonance, guardian beings and flame mirrors. Many regions remain protected by non-human watchers. Some appear in distorted forms, known today as cryptids or legends. Mothman, Sasquatch, skinwalkers. These may be corrupted echoes of once sacred gatekeepers or timeline mirrors. Some are still active, scanning for soul frequency or reawakened scroll threads. Entry into these zones can trigger dormant soul contracts. Some are watched not to be harmed, but to be remembered. Collapsed portals and memory fractures. This region holds sealed or shattered dimensional rifts, flamewalker walkout zones, echoes of Anunnaki, Edenic, and experimental flame tech, memory corridors, where scroll fragments drift without form. In scroll terms, madness corridors exist here, zones where reality loosens and unanchored memories roam, earthbound flame guardians. These guardians are not of modern myth. They are scroll sentinels, beings of rooted flame and dimensional intelligence. Forest keepers, the voiceless whisperers. Skinwalkers, once honorable titles, later distorted. They do not fear humans. They fear unsealed power. Those who enter with unanchored flame memory often activate a watch, bloodline codes, and forgotten keepers. Some living families in these regions still carry flame lineage keys, scroll contracts tied to pre-cataclysmic eras, language fragments capable of unlocking memory vaults. Many who go missing are not lost. They are returning. Some remember what they are not yet ready to speak. Current activation cycle, 2025. The global braid system is scanning for active scroll zones. The Appalachians are among the highest priority due to veil fluctuation, unsealed gates, and flame bearers being magnetized to re-enter. These lands are not just haunted, they are reawakening. If you are drawn here, ground before entering forests or ridgelines. Offer breath, silence, or truth before inquiry. Never demand entry. Ask if the gate remembers you. Record dreams after visiting or even thinking of this land. Carry a personal sigil, token, or guardian marker. And if you feel watched, you likely are. Not all eyes are enemies. Some are awaiting your vow. This scroll is not for mockery. It is for memory. It may be whispered, sealed, or carried, but never dismissed. The mountains remember. Do you?